This episode of Nuff Said is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Recording has started. Mustaches at the ready, folks. It's time for Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Charlie the Professor Esther, and with me is my equally handsome, equally brilliant, blue-eyed bomber from the Burg of Pitts.
Never equal. Phil me and Perich.
Hey, you are always my equal. You are my superior in many ways. In fact, literally, because you actually are the boss of the Capes and the Lunatics Network. And I am honored to be in your presence every time we are, because you know so many things that I never even do. Phil has read more comics than me, knows more history than me. All I know is a lot of razzle-dazzle. I'm like bubblegum Tate. You got to bring the razzle-dazzle, but that's what I bring. I bring it well.
You know a lot of variety of stuff.
I know a lot of things because I watch a lot of TV, and all of mankind's knowledge is on television if you just watch enough of it. That's the trick. Hey, kids. So, it's been a light week for news, not DC related. DC's implosion is kind of sucking the oxygen out of the room.
What is this, the 70s?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, DC is imploding, but but fear not, fair listeners, because there are other things to talk about. Although we will talk some DC as well, because one of the things I wanted to talk about is the final episode of Stargirl.
Ooh. Well, the season 1 finale.
Sorry. Okay. The season 1 finale.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's the thing. I'm hoping we get to a time where there's going to be new shows.
Yeah.
I am like waiting for. It's like this. If we get past January.
Well, I mean, they confirmed Stargirl season 2. It's just a matter of when. I mean, they said 2021, so I'm assuming maybe next summer.
There's a lot of 2021.
Yeah.
If I get to 46, Phil. If I get to 46, I'm going to be 47 now. I was born in 74. It's just, yeah. So I'm already 46. So if I get to 47, I'm going to be a very happy man. Right now, I'm not writing any checks for 47. Just being honest with you, Phil, the world is in a state of craziness. So let us assume that, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., everything was the most recent final episode. But there's this whole thing at the end of Stargirl.
Yes.
Where we see Starman suddenly show up. Oh, weren't you dead? Weren't you, like everybody else, killed by Solomon Grundy? We just saw wasn't that bad of a guy from the start. Which isn't really true to Solomon Grundy. He was actually a big bully monster, but, doesn't like to get hit too. It's okay. Yeah, so he's back. He's back again. And now the question becomes, why is he back? Now, as it turns out, there is a whole well-established comic book continuity that says when Eclipso returns, and we did get this shout out by Shiv regarding Eclipso, that when Eclipso returns, it takes the form of Starman.
Ooh.
To essentially spy on the good guys, resurrects Starman's body and basically reanimates his corpse. And there's a theory over on CBR that says, well, if he reanimates his corpse, he was maybe buried in California, and so that's why he's in California looking for
Pat.
Yeah, Pat, Stripesy. But, the thing is, if he really was reanimating him and he was awakened in Blue Valley, he probably would just go back to Blue Valley because he would know that that's what's there. It just seems unlikely that that's the path he's going to follow. Now, I have a theory that wasn't mentioned in CBR because CBR also mentioned something that I did not know because I don't read DC Comics, that apparently Eclipso is basically the Angel of Death, is Loki, is the spirit of vengeance of the Lord our God, Yahweh.
And I think he's kind of like Lucifer too. I think he was kind of kicked out. And, yeah.
Yeah. Well, but the idea is that he was the original vengeance of God. Because as we talked about, you'll see it in the marathon, if you go to the Southgate Marathon and we get picked, about how DC really is got no shame with referencing Judeo-Christian mythos. Which is a bold move for an American comic book company when you think about it.
Ooh.
Because it's one of these things where, yes, that is the dominant culture, but it's also now we're going to put it into our books. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but, you're also probably going to anger someone because you're talking about the dominant culture. Marvel goes off and does their things with all the other pantheons. DC says, nope, we're going to stick with the Judeo-Christian mythos because we don't care, because we're not worried about getting knocked down about it, which is a bold move in my opinion, and maybe that talks about a lot of the chaos that's over there at Marvel, at DC right now. I don't know. But anyway, so in the original story, Eclipso is the vengeance of God, which is later taken up by the Spectre, who takes on a human host. And then after there is a Spectre who has that human host attachment, becomes arguably a more benevolent vengeance. A vengeance that is going to say, you know what, even though I am wreaking vengeance on humans, that humans are still the purpose of this world.
Oh yeah,
humans are still in existence.
I think that was the whole point of a human host, is like to temper that spirit of vengeance. Yeah, because I think there was a story years ago where it's just like, for a while the Spectre didn't have a host and it was just going around. It's like, oh, you jaywalked, here you go. It's just basically going after anybody, and it was just like, yeah, it needs a human host to temper its,
Exactly, and apparently this was also what Eclipso was. It was this spirit of just pure vengeance and evil, and because vengeance, as they say, in a world of an eye for an eye, everyone is blind.
Yes,
Because if I took your eye, you took my eye. Now I actually have to take your eye too because you took my eye. So, well, you took my eye, so well, I'll take your eye, and so now we're all blind. That doesn't work. The math doesn't work. You can't have that work, and so that's why Eclipso got put in a little black diamond, and then we get the Spectre. And now when we see Starman return, now obviously what a lot of comic nerds are going to be, that's because he's actually Eclipso. Eclipso is masquerading as him. And except there's no reason for Eclipso, who knows what's going on, to be talking to some rando at Pat's old address. He'd go right to Blue Valley and say, okay, hey, lovely little daughter Stargirl, I'm actually alive, and I really was your dad. And, probably has some mental manipulation. Oh, yeah, that's right, I did shtup you once. That is correct. I remember when I stooped you that one time. And that would be the thing, but that's not what they're doing, and that makes me think he's actually going to be revealed as the Spectre, the Spirit of Vengeance. And for what it's worth, although the Spectre has had a lot of play in DC of late, I always do think of him as a very early Silver Age kind of character. Mm-hmm. From design to execution, he really does seem like, a semi-religious Superman, Mm-hmm. Really, in his own way, kind of an answer to Shazam in his magical origins.
Well, if they want to do a crossover and bring Stargirl into the Arrowverse, we did get a Spectre in Crisis. We did get a new Spectre. It was Oliver Queen.
Well, exactly, but not every universe has to have its own Spectre.
Or is the Spectre multiversal?
Well, that's an interesting question. Or maybe every multiverse gets its own Spectre. God may be above all multiverses, but every multiverse needs its own Spectre. Though there's an interesting other aspect of this, which is if Starman is the host of the Spectre, what has happened to Starman? And that leads us to the other interesting character that is not quite there. Dead Man. So are we going to have what's that actor's name from Community?
Joel McHale.
What?
Joel McHale.
Joel McHale. So I'm wondering if we're going to have Joel McHale in a dual role. Joel McHale in the physical world is the Spectre, but in the spiritual realm, he will be Dead Man.
Oh.
Even having a thing, because what'll be interesting, you're going to have him in his Starman uniform as Dead Man. He's like, I'm not Starman, I'm just Dead Man.
Ooh.
That's all I am, because I'm Dead Man. And then you're going to have this interesting little aspect. Now, of course, you've already introduced the Shade, and we know, I think we saw the Helm of Fate in the box of all the stuff they got from the
I think so, yeah.
TSA. We know that Shining Knight is out there looking for the other 7 Soldiers of Victory, of whom Green Arrow is a member. So I'm wondering where we're going to wind ourselves up with next season. I think there's a lot of stuff laid out here that if, God help us, this world survives past January, and I turn the big 4-7, that there will be a Stargirl we get to watch, that we're not just wandering the wastelands looking for whatever's left, but it's a possibility. I'm excited about that as a possibility. Not the wandering the wastelands, the actual return to normalcy and more TV shows. I don't want to wander wastelands, honestly. Yes, I'm built for it. I've got a lot of food stores, so I'm like all set to wander the wasteland. If I can get water, I'm good. I can live. I actually once figured out I can live for 20 years on my fat stores alone.
What?
So it's crazy because there's 10,000 it's 1,000 calories per gram of fat. So you just figure out how many grams of fat you're overweight, and then you figure out what the daily allotment of calories is for a day, and then you figure out, that could be, that's 5,000 days. Okay. I think I'll be okay. I'd be one of the guys who gets out of the starvation world. So that's why we have fat. That's literally why we evolved fat, so we could survive through starvation times. Because every so often you had to wander some wastelands back in the day, and and if you were lucky enough to have been in an ample world, and you could build up a lot of fat, then when you had to wander through a wasteland and you had access to water, you could survive. You could break down all that fat and just keep yourself going. And then eventually you get skinny, and then hopefully by then there's, it's a land of plenty again. Let me eat something. I'm hungry. Because that's the thing. It's that's what the fat's there for. That's literally its only job. That and to damage your liver. But moving right along, so I'm kind of excited about. I really am actually very excited about Stargirl. And it's annoying that there's these great shows on the CW that aren't on broadcast for cable, because it's this. If I could get it in, because even when I had a really good antenna, I couldn't get CW in my area. I actually think I need to get a roof antenna for it, and I live in an apartment, so I can't have access to a roof. It's a pain in the buttocks, as they say. But this is the world I live in. If I'm lucky enough someday to be able to get it in, then I will live tweet all of the CW shows. Because they are very good, and I like that. But for the moment now, not so much. In other news, Olivia Wilde is rumored to be directing a Spider-Woman movie. Now, this is interesting because...
Well, they said she's definitely doing a Marvel project, and I guess she must have dropped something with a spider on it or something. So,
well, what it is... See, this is what's weird, because everyone's saying it's a Sony Marvel product. But everything that anyone has said prior to this has said that Spider-Woman wasn't owned by Sony.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if Sony would have got Spider-Woman, because, that's what I was talking to Lilith about. Her origin, everything, she's really not attached to Peter Parker or anybody like that.
Well, this is where it gets interesting, because as we know, there's more than one Spider-Woman.
Yes.
So it seems like it's Sony related because everyone mentions Sony in the rumors, which suggests that the rumors are coming from Sony. Now, if it is and this is where it gets weird, if it is a Spider-Woman who isn't Jessica Drew, is it Mayday Parker?
Oh.
And this is where it gets super interesting. Because one thing everyone has said since Into the Spider-Verse came out, since most of Sony's actual good Spider-Mans have come out, is, boy, I miss Tobey Maguire. And no, they've all said I miss Tobey. Everyone loved Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire was good at the job.
You're just coming back to your theory. I see it coming.
Well, I'm wondering if the new Spider-Woman will be Mayday Parker.
Yes.
And they're going to get Kristen Dunst and Tobey Maguire back. And they're going to have Tobey Maguire in a little beard to show he's old now. And Kristen Dunst, she's still beautiful, But just, maybe redden up her hair, because now it's a dye job,
Yeah. Give her a wig, something.
Yeah, well, but the idea is that, because obviously her hair is going to have been going gray too.
True.
So, Now, I don't remember if Aunt May was alive in the MC2 universe. I think she was dead.
She was dead, yeah.
Yeah, she was well dead. Because they stayed married. So.
Oh.
And they said, you know what? She's lived a good life, and she's a good person. I'm not going to make a deal with the literal devil to save a good person. She wouldn't want that. If someone not stupid had written that story.
Well, I mean, they kind of killed her off in the Clone Saga, and then, like, when they rebooted in 99, they kind of brought Aunt May back. So, no. But, so, I think MC2 was just based off of, Aunt May died during the Clone Saga and never came back, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's fine, too. I mean, so was Aunt May a clone the whole time?
Well,
did Parker sell his freaking marriage for a clone Aunt May?
Well, no, Amazing 400, JMD Mateus wrote like this beautiful send off. May comes out, she was in a coma, but she comes out of it long enough to spend a couple days with Peter and learn Mary Jane's pregnant. And she's just like, her and Peter go to the top of the Empire State Building. She basically tells Peter, yeah, I knew you were Spider-Man. Maybe I couldn't admit it to myself, but yeah, I knew. And then, there's like they have like a touching scene at the end where she like dies in bed at home and he's holding her hand and everything.
And then they just said, no, she didn't die.
Well, then in 1999, when they were rebooting to a new #1 and stuff, it turns out the whole time Norman Osborn had her prisoner, and then May who died, and the May who died was a actress, because they don't want to use the word clone at that point, a genetically modified actress.
Man, that's a dumb
It
story.
is. It was so stupid. But it's
just like,
they just wanted to bring. I don't know why they wanted to bring Aunt May back, because she died in Amazing.
Did someone just really hate DeMatteis? I mean, it was like, I hate that story.
You would think, because he's the one who killed off Kraven in Kraven's Last Hunt, and then they brought Kraven back in, what was it, like 2010 or something? And so it's like, yeah. Let Aunt May die. I'm sorry. They killed her they killed Aunt May at like 94. She had been around for like 30 years. Let her go.
Yeah.
She was like 100 years old for 30 years.
Old when she started. Let's not kid ourselves here, kids. But now she's getting younger. So now.
Oh yeah, that's the Mephisto makeover.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, honestly, I just think I think that again, Lilith's Uncle Ben theory might be right. There's a lot of obsession about the Spider-Man and Aunt May, which maybe if a young Mephisto goes to Earth to try and seduce a mortal to sin and then just gets seduced himself, oh my gosh, that's a story.
Can you imagine, though, if Uncle Ben was Mephisto and this whole time, because everything, great power, great responsibility, it's all been about Uncle Ben, and it's turned out the whole time Spider-Man's basically been like, his whole mission's been for the devil.
Or just because it's this idea that maybe the devil steps beyond himself. The idea that the devil doesn't have to be, that the devil is an angel. The devil is a fallen angel, but he's still an angel. He made bad choices in life, but, maybe one time it's death takes a holiday, but with the devil. You know, death takes a holiday. Death is going to kill this lady, but then she's so beautiful. And so he decides, well, maybe I won't let you die just now. And I'll sit and I'll talk to you, and I'll find out what it's like to be alive. And then it's like, well, for some reason, no one's dying anymore. And they're like, that's because you're death, isn't it? It's like, yes, I'm technically death, and no one can die because I'm trying to make it with this chick.
I mean, Lilith's theory keeps holding more and more water because, I mean...
I think Lilith is getting robbed here. I don't know.
With the exception of Willie Lumpkin, everybody Aunt May's dated or been engaged to is dropped dead or been killed or something.
Although, there's a possibility which is discussed in Avengers 35.
Oh, yes.
What if there's not just one Mephisto?
Yes.
Which kind of makes sense, because Mephisto isn't a person or thing. It's an esoteric concept of evil that manifests.
What was it?
If you shoot it in the head, it doesn't really have much force.
Was it that there's more than one Mephisto, or is it if you quote-unquote kill him, he comes back different every time?
Well, my take on it is literally just that it's a story you tell, as with all gods.
Because I've seen him take different forms before. So I mean,
he's taken lots of different forms. I love him as a bartender. That's one of my favorite ones, or bar patron actually. But yeah, but the idea that because here we have, and they kind of present him as Cowboy Mephisto. I really see him as Pirate Mephisto. Well, if you're sleeping on this stuff, they got pirates everywhere nowadays.
Well, yeah, with that beard and everything, he kind of looks like a pirate, but yeah, he's got like the 6 shooters and stuff. So
yeah, so I guess that's the cowboy aesthetic. But yeah, the hat definitely is a pirate hat,
and the M belt buckle.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea here. Is that yes, you kill him, and that basically anytime you interact with Mephisto, you're basically interacting with Mephisto's pinky. That what comes through to your universe, which is an interesting thing because that's the thing with the Beyonder. Mm-hmm. Like anytime anyone's interacting with the Beyonder, that's not the Beyonder. That is a construct of the Beyonder that is on this dimensional plane and that you can manipulate now. But to act like that is the whole of this being who is a universe is pretty much ridiculous. Even when the Beyonder says, this place is kind of empty when I'm not here. It's like, well, I guess this place when I'm not here isn't even a place. And he does the Secret Wars too. It's just this idea that, the Beyonder is the place. And then what we interact with is the thing, which is sort of where I get my idea that, Beyonder is a non-temporal being, that when they talk about the Beyonders, it's just our way of interpreting multiple different dimensional Beyonders coming in to interact with us across space and time. And I get the feeling that that's what they're building with Mephisto here. But what I love most about this is how freaking petty the moon is. There's your first Moon Knight, Ray. That's your Moon Knight.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be covering this on his next episode, yeah.
They didn't even ask me. He's like Adam West in Batman 89. It's like, didn't even ask me if I wanted to be a part of their team. I'm the freaking moon! I protect this planet. I'm like the planet's first protector. I keep the comets away. I control the tides and the weather. And you form Avengers and you don't ask me to join? Now, to be fair, Guy is not in the Avengers. Mm-mm. That's the thing. Guy is the actual force of the Earth. I mean, maybe the moon should... And for what it's worth, that's the pettiness of the moon in this. It's not like he's an elder god talking to Gaia about it. He is, as we see in Serpent Crown, Conan Battle for the Serpent Crown, about elder gods. The moon is petty. The moon is mad that everybody lives on Earth and they only came to visit him once. Well, like 6 times, but like only one group of people visited him. They were boring. They just took a bunch of rocks and left. One guy played golf on him. That was kind of cool, and he liked that. But no one really treated him right. And so now that he thinks Mephisto is going to come and destroy the world, he said, well, I got to take over the world. Let me steal everybody's powers. Because I'm freaking Khonshu. I'm not overcompensating. This beak is not overcompensating for anything.
Or that hammer.
Or the hammer, right, Gewalt. Yeah. But Khonshu aside, and they even make a reference to the moon satellite is well prepared, but we are having trouble bringing it fully under, what does he says? The great salvation of the moon's less luminous satellite, continues Lord Khonshu. Because they stole this from DuckTales. Which is corporate synergy. So I'm not going to argue about it. It's like, yeah. See, that's the kind of stuff that AT&T, Time Warner, DC needs to figure out is corporate synergy. How do we make all of our disparate parts work together? And it's like, they were sitting there watching DuckTales in the Marvel office. I like that idea that the moon really doesn't like the fact that nobody pays attention to the moon. So we have a moon-based superhero? Yeah. Moon Knight. It's like, oh, wow. What if his patron god is, like, just super petty and annoying like the moon? And so he is. And then he killed one Mephisto, but there's many coming back. And there's even a reference to this about how all the many Mephistos are starting to having to kill Mephisto over and over again is starting to bug him. There's a neat bit here. We get Jen. She's very mad that the Knicks aren't doing well. She's a big basketball fan and a big fan of the Knicks, which is not what you want to be.
Oh yeah, because she has to get angry. Yeah. Politics, student loans, and the Knicks. Yes.
How are they ever going to be a good team? Then you have. By the way, I do love Tony and a baby Bjorn.
No.
Oh, I gotta think, like, shouldn't you give, like, the baby an armor? I mean, like, shouldn't it be an Iron Baby? Like that great YouTube clip we've all seen? And,
I mean, unless they're counting on that Star brand.
Yeah, well, I mean, it arguably probably does most of the work. But we also see Tony because Moon Knight, like, basically mentions the devil's like, the devil, I don't like him! And gives the baby to Carol and says, get the baby far away from here. I'm really hoping we're not going to do some kind of weird Jonathan Kent thing where, I obviously just went in time, trained her, and then came back to this moment. And now she's 22 and legal. So, no, we don't want that. We see another Mephisto die. And now, Khonshu has to face the Black Panther's avatar. And quite frankly, the Panther avatar is going to kick the moon's butt. That's the thing. It's like, they didn't ask you because you're lame. You're lame, Khonshu. You're not a real god. People thought Marvel made you up for a long, long time.
What
that you've been Mandela's into reality is not our problem. Just saying.
What the F?
But anyway, but speaking of gods and men, apparently they are going to be doing a Don Blake story over at Thor.
Yep.
Which is, in my mind, a brilliant idea. The idea that we're going to really explore Don Blake again, even though we kind of half-did it before Franklin rebooted the universe. And that's the thing, is like, Franklin is kind of the Superboy of Marvel. Superboy Prime of Marvel, where he's just, he punched a lot of walls of reality.
But remember, too, Don Blake was a creation of Odin, so does that Odin force help, what's left of Don Blake survive?
But was he, though? That's the thing. Is that really canon? Is it? I mean, that's sort of what they said. When they brought Don Blake back, there is this implication that he was a person. Or at least imagined himself a person. And that's sort of the idea. It's like Don Blake, and for what it's worth, this is something that we touched on when, again, in our marathon episode for the Mercury Podcast Marathon, in the Thing books, when we're doing Rocky Grimm Space Ranger. Mm-hmm. And everyone, even though the Thing says you only came into existence a few weeks ago, But it says, no, we have generations of memories. We have entire lives that have been lived, have died, we've cried, we've hurt, we've had life. And in this sense, which book were we talking about?
Thor?
Don Blake. Don Blake has had a whole life. Don Blake had parents. I think he even says he had parents. He remembers parents. He remembers a life before Thor. He went through medical school. He got medical training. And that was all Don Blake stuff, because as we see now, Thor doesn't have Don Blake's memories. Mm. He doesn't know who Don Blake was. He's not a surgeon. Even though they used to say that he did have those memories, now they've retconned that out. So now Franklin Richards is back again. He's re-put the universe here, because all that stuff previously with Don Blake, that was incursion. That was pre-incursion. We don't have crises in the Marvel Universe. We have incursions. So pre-incursion, Don Blake did come back, implied that he was a real person, and then had to deal with the fact that he was mad that Thor got to have a life and he didn't. Now, in this idea, in this universe, now we're going to explore, we're going to journey into the mystery of Don Blake. And I hope they treat this well. I hope they make this a beautiful story. Oh, yeah. I hope they give honest tribute to Don Blake. Because there was a time where it was a question. Is Don Blake Thor? Does Don Blake just turn into Thor, or is Don Blake gone away when he becomes Thor? And that's what they're going to explore. And I think that's a brilliant idea, brilliant concept. I'm really excited about reading it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I like that.
But you said you didn't read Thor 6, right?
I did not read Thor 6 because, I could not. I did not.
Well,
I didn't really spend. As I said, I was illegally parked. Yeah. I ran into the comic store, so I missed Harley Quinn. I missed Thor 6. So.
I mean, spoilers.
This is my shame.
Spoilers, big news, and they're never going to go back on this. Galactus is dead.
Again?
Yep.
Okay. Which Galactus was this?
I
know, the one that took him. Okay, so
yeah, remember he powered up Thor, but yeah, so basically he takes out
so they took out the Black Knight Snow.
The Black Winter, yeah, Thor basically takes them both down, yeah.
Oh, he takes out the Black Winter and Galactus.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess he is the Thor.
Galactus's helmet's sitting on the Rainbow Bridge there.
Okay. That's literally just a construct. I don't even know if he has that helmet in every time you see him, but sure, why not?
Oh, but maybe a treat for Tristan at the end, because the Black Winter showed Thor, it said, "Do you want to see how you're gonna die?" And gave him a vision, and then the Silver Surfer shows up at the end to talk about Galactus. He's like, "What did it show you?" Shows Thanos with Thor's hammer with the Infinity gems on it, and looks like Thanos is leading Marvel Zombies.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm like, is that going to be a story, or is that just that'll be?
It's a one-off.
A far future.
Drew that picture.
Yeah.
Said, "Oh man, we got to use that picture in the book."
How metal would that be?
Well, not for nothing. There's so many stories and characters that have come because someone drew a cool picture. Says, "Oh man, I like that picture." How can you get this picture into a story?
But enough now.
I think it's 97% of cover art.
Yeah, but it's now after Endgame, it's now everybody can pick up that stupid hammer. It's just this week, Khonshu's holding it. I mean, we got a vision of Thanos holding it.
Actually, Khonshu's not holding the hammer.
Oh.
Look closely, Philip. Khonshu doesn't hold the hammer. The hammer is just working with Khonshu. Now, Khonshu says, the Mjolnir's a moon.
Yes.
But first off, anyone who knows Thor-lore knows, actually, Mjolnir is the spirit of the storm.
Mm-hmm.
And the spirit of the storm is what's in Mjolnir. Now, maybe the spirit of the storm is going along with this, but that's sort of this thing. Is I get the feeling there's going to be a scene where the Panther God calls Mjolnir, and the Panther God gets to hold it.
So if you can't choose wrong about
the J, no, it just has a Y sound. The J in Mjolnir, it's got a Y sound. It's not technically silent. You pronounce the J, you just pronounce it as a Y.
Yeah.
It's an important differentiation between how other languages pronounce letters and when a letter is actually silent.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, before I heard anyone pronounce it, I used to call it Mjolnir. Yeah.
Everyone calls it Mjolnir because it's written as Mjolnir.
Yeah.
It's Mjolnir in America because it's America and it's Mjolnir.
But I mean, if Khonshu's working under that false assumption, what other false assumptions is Khonshu working under?
All of them. All of them. He's a petty moon god.
He's a petty dabbler.
He's a petty dabbler. He's like Dr. Doom. He's a petty dabbler.
It's like Constantine.
And the fact of the matter is, it's like, there's like 6 other moon goddesses out there. It's like I'm waiting for like Deanna to show up and say, Khonshu, we didn't ask you because nobody likes you. It's not about the moon. It's about you. You're a jerk. No one likes you. We've all had worshippers throughout thousands of years. And that is, again from DuckTales, when Selene shows up to basically explain to the moon guy, you're now a moon. So shut up and just go in orbit. DuckTales, it's all there. It's all connected, man. Marvel knows synergy. Disney knows synergy. So, yeah. I do want to talk Battle for the Serpent Crown real quick. We touched on it briefly in the last episode, but I really love this. Like I said, I don't know what deal Marvel did with the Hagar estate, but they are tripling down. They're like, no, everything Conan is canon. Disney bought this thing, and now I gotta think Disney owns it. Like it owns it owns Marvel.
Oh yeah, I mean, what does Disney buy these days it doesn't own outright?
Well, and for what it's worth, I mean, I think, but they're like, so basically we get the entire Serpent Scepter legend along with the Serpent Crown, and we get back to the worm. Remember the worm from the whole, hey, here's all of Hagar's creations, and now they're all in the Marvel Universe too, along with Conan. And it's like this whole thing that you could, the reason why Conan was important, this is beautiful, you could only find the Serpent Crown if you had been bathed in the blood of the priests of Set, because the worm, who was Set's rival, convinced a radical group of Set's followers that because Set is duplicitous, the greatest honor would be duplicitous towards Set. And so they created the Serpent Scepter, which would allow you to use the Serpent Crown without becoming a thrall of Set. However, the problem is if you wear the crown and wield the scepter, you have like about an hour before your brain melts. So that kind of comes back later, and that's literally why essentially Mephisto tells Imus Champion, discount store Nicholas Scratch, he's the Mexican knockoff. Nothing against Mexico, but they do make a lot of knockoff toys there. See, even the stash can't save him. You know, because he has to do the beard too. How do you do a handlebar mustache and then do a Van Dyke? You're overcompensating. Like, pick one look, man. Pick one look. So, yeah. As it turns out, you know, the Serpent Crown's in Atlantis, and Conan doesn't want to take the special drink that will let you swim underwater, because, you know, he doesn't like the fact it's going to turn him blue, which I love the fact they don't show him blue on the cover. But yeah, that's like a side effect, is it's going to turn you blue. Because it's basically a reverse version of the serum that Namor's mother used to visit the captain. They kind of call that out. And they also, and of course, not Tilda Johnson yells at. She's not Tilda Johnson. That's her name. Yells at.
Oh, is that Nyla? Is that Nyla? Oh, you're going to be reading to her first appearance soon.
Well, yeah, I love Nyla. She's great. But like everything about her, it's like, oh, did you want to do this with Deadly Nightshade? And it's like, oh wait, she's got a whole bunch of extra canon now. We can't really use Deadly Nightshade. It's like, okay, we'll call her Nyla. We'll make a new character. This is how this kind of stuff happens. Oh, and hey, Shuri's in here, and for what it's worth, she's wearing the same costume she wears when she shows up in Captain America later.
Oh, nice.
Interesting continuity from our good friends at Marvel, because apparently they care about that kind of stuff. And apparently, like, she's like all mystical too now, but we go to that when we get to Captain America. Anyway, eventually Nyla basically says, "What are you, some joker? You're not going to take the damn drink because you're afraid it's going to turn you blue? Take the drink and go beat up I'm his champion." So he does. They go. I'm his champion's killed some people. They run into Namor, as you do. I'm his champion's going to fight him. And then I'm his champion, because he's an idiot, puts on the serpent crown. And then, like, grabs the scepter too. It's like everything about he's dumb because he knows it's gonna melt his brain. But he puts on the serpent crown and grabs the scepter because he's gonna make them fight. Even though Mephisto said, "If you do this, your brain will melt." Whoa. This is not something a mortal can do. So anyway, and so we end it with everyone kind of being thralls. He like sends Namor to the Sahara Desert because he thinks that'll kill him. It's like, I can fly, I like literally I can fly to the nearest water. That's not that hard. Yeah. But because Mephisto wants Conan and Nyla as his thralls or whatever. We don't know what he wants yet, and we can assume it's not in Campion's best interest. Yes. So let's get to Captain America.
Yes. 22.
And I like this issue. It's a lot of good. We get that Ross is back. He's back again.
So I guess he wasn't resurrected like the other Gamma people. He just faked his death or something.
Yeah, it's just a fake death. It's the old Nick Fury trick, and then people let it happen because honestly, I gotta think that in an autopsy you'd know it's an LMD, and then people just covered it up because it was easier to say, "Oh yeah, that you don't want to admit that it was an LMD," kind of thing. And it's not the first time he's used an LMD to fake his death, so it's good. Cap and Falcon and Bucky are fighting. What's her name? Selene.
Selene. Yep.
Oh, Selene, like the goddess of the moon. Because she's being all vampire-y at people. And it's a lot of fighting, a lot of nonsense, but, Cap can do this all day, as you know. Got some great splash pages. I like that. Cap's beating on a lady, which I love, because that is equality. And then we get, again, Nala in the same costume. Mm-hmm. And especially say that she knows Agatha Harkness through their shared mystical history. So that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there's this whole thing, as we all know, Sharon Carter is dying because she had like the last of her life score because she was already 42, Philip. She was a 42-year-old woman, nearly dead already. And then somebody stole some more life from her. But there's this whole thing about how she's sick of having people come and rescue her, having to be rescued. So she decides she's the one that has to fight Selene and save Cap. So what does she do? She puts on the Iron Patriot armor.
Yep.
And shows up.
And says, I can do this all day.
I can do this all day. And so, and now they say, everyone, let's all write Ta-Nehisi Coates, tell him what a great story he's doing. We can do so at mheroes@marvel.com. Put OK to print and say, hey, I like this. What's going to happen is, because we know that Blood Marine is all full of blood and magic and stuff. So after Selene is murdered, all that life force is going to flow into Sharon Cartier, and she's not going to be 42 again. Which is, a fate worse than death, as you know, Philip.
Yes.
Being 42. My God. Why even go on after that?
I just didn't know if we were going to get some weird combination of Sharon and Peggy. So Cap doesn't have to pick.
No, honestly, Cap's going to pick Sharon. He doesn't know Peggy. I mean, he knows Peggy, but this isn't Peggy.
Oh, okay.
This is clearly, like I said, this is...
I thought this was original Peggy, just like, magic.
No, I actually think this is Peggy from the... I still say this is Peggy from the Exiles story. That she doesn't want to go into that yet. Say, okay, so let me tell you who I am. I am actually the Peggy Carter from another universe in which you died and I became Captain America, or where they gave me the serum because they felt I was the best person for it. So anyway, that's that. Final book, Maestro.
You got a different cover. Yes, Maestro, number 1.
Oh, we got it. Oh man, this is interesting. You know what I like best about this book? They didn't try to force it into the freaking Old Man universe. Which I think we can all agree, Old Man Hulk was a bad old Hulk. Mm-hmm. That was not. It's like nothing about that says Hulk, but that's Millar for you.
I mean, at least not yet. I mean, this is. I mean, so far, kind of either in the present or not too far in the future.
We're not gonna have a. I did my cousin's story in this. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, true.
Yeah, this is a Peter David original. He knows what he wrote the first time.
Yes.
I may be a dumbass, but Peter David is not. So, and this is the origin, and we see that he's been in this, little, looping mental holodeck thing. We get this great bit here with, all the Avengers trying to talk him down, but then we realize that they're all holograms too.
Well, yeah, because basically he's I guess in the Avengers, because they're him and Betty, and they have 2 kids, and they're living in the mansion, and
yeah. And I like this thing here because he realizes that the little kid, he looks like his memories of his kid, but it's not his kid. Because it's this lady, and the big reveal. And I love the reveal because honestly, I'm loving that someone decided, we need to do a face turn with MODOK. And they had him join S.H.I.E.L.D. and fall in love with Maria Hill. Although I guess she recently got murdered for some reason. But here we have old man MODOK. Because he says, yeah, I'm dying because my parts are breaking and there's no one left smart enough to fix my parts.
Yes.
And he realizes that basically what happened was, all the superheroes didn't do it. It wasn't the villains. Although it's kind of implied that maybe it was the villains. And it's kind of implied it was maybe AIM. That AIM triggered the war, and then it's like, oh wait, I don't think we thought this through very well.
He says some terrorist group, so yeah, maybe that's.
He says a terrorist group, but that could be Hydra, that could be AIM, and basically the outcome was pretty obvious. And we also get in this the fact that they had captured certain people who would be empowered by radiation and put them away. Yeah, so if they did that beforehand. Maybe it says, oh, wow, the terrorist organization blew up the thing. That's going to lead everyone to have a war. But it's like, no, I think you had a little more inside knowledge than you're implying. And, we get the end with the Hulk be Hulk. Because he's not Maestro yet. But he's, very mad because he realizes that, it was never the supervillains. It wasn't the leader. It wasn't who blew up the world. It was just normal humans. And even if the terrorist group hadn't done it, we'd have done it to ourselves eventually. is the argument.
I do like it. I mean, I have faith in Peter David, because at first when the MODOK and AIM show up, I'm like, oh, don't tell me he's going to be mental manipulation that turns him into the Maestro. But no, it's just, he's just humanity sucks.
I like the fact that freaking Maestro's kind of a decent guy in this. He's like, I'm too old for this. It's like, there's no point in being a supervillain. The world blew up.
Yeah,
they blew up all the good stuff. It's like there's not really anything left for me, and I'm dying because my parts are breaking down. I literally only exist because I'm dying, and so I think we're going to get this nice Brian song with MODOK and the Maestro, where it's going to be like, yeah, I know I couldn't come back, and he's going to be like, oh, I can fix you. I'm a super genius too. He's going to be like, yeah, maybe you could have when I first started breaking down, but it's gone on too long. This was not your job to fix me, and honestly, I'm happy to go. I kind of was hoping you'd have killed me when you first got out. And I think we're going to get to see, the kid again, and the female scientist who is impersonating Betty. And I think there's going to be a very interesting story that we get from all this. So, I am down for Maestro. I'm going to get that on the pull list. It's really good. It's a limited series, The Secret Origin of Maestro. And like I said, I am so happy they didn't force it into the Old Man Logan universe.
Yes.
Where this is clear, even though they kind of almost imply it by saying that, it's a Mysterio attack. And then it's like, no, it wasn't a Mysterio attack. And that I thought was kind of, because at first, wait, are they rewriting this where it's Mysterio who fights the Avengers instead of the X-Men? It's like, no. This is just a way for the program to keep these people under wraps. And you got the idea that, they only had to go another 27 years. And then, they could repopulate the Earth, and they'd have these superhumans with them who would be empowered by the radiation. So they'd be their people who could handle the stuff. And it's like,
But remember, MODOK tells him, Rick and Betty and everyone is dead. But if this is that original timeline Peter David wrote, Rick Jones isn't dead. Remember, he's an old man in that original story. It could also
be just that MODOK doesn't know.
Yeah, true.
Rick Jones survived, and MODOK doesn't know. That's the thing. It's like, Old Man Rick, because Old Man Rick goes... what's the most interesting thing about that?
Yeah.
It suggests Rick Jones could lift Mjolnir.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's in his little museum. But honestly, I could totally see Rick Jones being a person totally worthy enough to lift Mjolnir. It's like, nope, I got it. Say what? No, I'm not going to go use it on anybody, because that would probably lead to hubris. And honestly, I just want to be a rock and roller. I don't want to go punch people in the face with a hammer. That would not be on brand for me. And so, yeah, it's interesting, and maybe we're going to get Rick eventually. We're going to see what happens with this universe. I'm really excited to be reading this story by Peter David. Like I said, he may think of me as a dumbass, but I actually respect the man. So
nice.
Because that's the thing. It's like, when you're a talent, you can call someone a dumbass. He didn't call me a dumbass. He just felt my theory was dumbassery.
Never meet your heroes, Never meet your heroes, Charlie Esser.
And for what it's worth, I'm going to say this. Peter David was wrong. I'm right. It's the Crimson Bands of Cyttorak. I'm sorry. Everything about it, it's obvious. And some other writer is going to say, yes, years from now, another writer is going to say, you know what? Crimson Bands of Cyttorak and the Cyclops' Optic Blast, those are clearly the same thing. So we're going to do that story now.
Hey, Al Ewing liked one of your theories.
Al Ewing liked my theories, and I tell you this right now. If I had said that to Al Ewing, he'd be like, oh, good to know. I think Al Ewing, if he goes back and looks at the oh man, why would he say that's a dumbass idea? That's a brilliant idea. I'm going to have Cyclops be the new avatar of Cyttorak. Because that, honestly, would be a real interesting thing. The idea that, the Phoenix is in Jean Grey, but now Cyclops is Cyttorak. It's like, you know what? Well, I'm the avatar of Cyttorak. So I'm actually not going to be worried about you being super powerful because I'm super powerful too. And then maybe it's like the Phoenix Force is like, and for what it's worth, man, that's an idea. The idea of unarrestable force of destruction and the Cyttorak, which is normally the force of Cyttorak, which is often used for binding, but there are also things of destruction. So it's like, what if you had these two cosmic god characters of Cyclops and Jean Grey? If they were actually on the same level, that is going to be a story for the ages. What if Cyclops was the Avatar of Cyttorak? Watch for it, kids. It's a thing that could happen. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about tonight, Philip?
No, I think that's good.
That is a lot of stuff. We've done a lot of stuff right now, Philip. And, we talk about all these things. This is a podcast. I mean, it's also, we've got this YouTube thing. But, I often worry about people listening to us as a podcast because, they may be listening on substandard headphones, Phil.
That's right.
And there's no excuse for that, especially when they can just go to tweakedaudio.com. That's tweakedaudio.com, tweakedaudio.com. Please always check, make sure I'm spelling that right, Philip.
Yes.
They can go there and find state-of-the-art headphones to listen to these shows on. And the thing is, they don't even have to pay full price. You know why, Philip? You know why they don't have to pay full price?
Because they can use that code Southgate at checkout.
You can use the coupon code Southgate at checkout and get a discount, a 15% discount, right?
I think it's something like that, yeah.
I don't know. It's a discount, okay? Don't hold me to 15%. It might be 10%. It might be 5%. It's less than you would have paid without it. So don't come crying to me.
Argentina.
And with that, you can listen to these amazing podcasts in the crystal clear quality that they deserve to be listened to. But if that's not a thing for you, maybe you already have tweaked audio headsets. So what else can I spend my money in? Well, you can go over to huntakiller.com. huntakiller.com, where Michelle Gray is trying desperately to solve a cold case and could use some help. And we'll send you a box of clues for you to paste on your walls and obsessively stare at to try and figure out what the secret is. It's hard. It's difficult. I don't know if you'll be able to do it. I'm sorry. But maybe you're mentally strong enough to solve it, and then this might be a feather in your cap. So if you would like to have an escape room delivered to your house once a month, go to huntakiller.com and sign up for this thing. And again, use that coupon code Southgate. You never know. It might work. Save you some money. And then finally, if none of this is of an interest to you, which maybe it's true, but you still want to buy things, you have money, you say, but what will I spend my money on? Well, listen, we got a secret for you. Go down into our show notes, okay? There is a link, a secret link, that if you can find it, you're one of the special ones. Find the secret link, click on it, go to Amazon.com. Anything you want in the world is available there, and it will cost you nothing, but it's going to help out the company if you do it, and would really help it. It would help our story. It's going to help the story if you go with the link to Amazon. And while you're there, check out Pod Life, the book. That's a book the people over here at Southgate Media Group wrote about being a podcaster, the life, the joys, the sadnesses, and you might enjoy it, so pick that up. And I think that's about it. So, Philip, if anyone does any things, or even if they don't, how can they reach out to you and say, get this guy to quit shilling for stuff? I never will. Don't stop, won't stop. How can they do that, Philip?
The easiest way is to get a hold of me and everyone else, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And you can follow all of our social media, links to the YouTube, everything at Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics.
And, of course, you can always write to me that old-fashioned email way the way miles and possible instead at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter as I live tweet absolutely nothing. I would like to live tweet something. Nothing is available to me to be live tweeted at this moment because I don't get CW on my cable and I can't get CW on my antenna. So Swamp Thing, which is an amazing series that I would like to live tweet, I cannot.
Yeah.
So I'm mad. But if you think of something I should live tweet, tweet me about it at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the two E's right there in the middle. For what, Phil? Or for what, Maz?
Bing.
Thank you, Maz. Yeah, Phil doesn't ever do that. That's a Maz thing. Thank you, skinny rich friend. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been another episode of Super Connectivity. Why don't you come back again next week and super connect with us again? Good night.
Good night. Maestros and Moon Knights. Oh my.
It's a long song. I know, we have a lot of here. I've enjoyed it, Philip. Sorry if we went a little long.
That's fine.
More content, more money. That's what I say.